When Andrew's grandfather passed away, it was an emotional moment for him. Unlike the rest of his family, who only seemed interested in their inheritance, Andrew had shared a deep bond with his grandfather. At the notary's office, his father, mother, brother, and sister eagerly awaited their share of wealth, knowing that the old man had been rich. One by one, they received their inheritance. His parents got $500,000 each, his brother got a valuable vacation home, and his sister received both family cars along with a hefty sum. When it was Andrew's turn, however, the notary handed him an old envelope, leaving everyone intrigued. To his shock, Andrew was not given a fortune like his siblings. Instead, he inherited his grandfather's old fishing cabin along with the small lake area surrounding it. His siblings burst into laughter, mocking him for receiving such a seemingly worthless property. His sister especially took great joy in belittling him, calling it a robbery. Andrew couldn't argue. He had visited the cabin before and knew it was nothing special. It had some fishing gear, a leaking roof, and was in desperate need of repairs. Walking away from a notary's office, he felt disappointed. His grandfather had meant the world to him, and yet it seemed like he was given the least valuable gift. When Andrew arrived at the cabin, his suspicions were confirmed. The wooden structure looked even worse than he remembered. Time had worn it down, and it appeared almost abandoned. Despite his frustration, memories of fishing with his grandfather by the lake flooded his mind, bringing a bittersweet feeling. He stepped inside and found nothing but the smell of rotting wood and old fishing equipment. Confused, he questioned why his grandfather would leave him this place. Surely, there had to be something more to it. He even considered tearing it down and using the land for something new, like a bed and breakfast or a small hotel. Determined to find answers, Andrew inspected the cabin more thoroughly. As he walked around, he noticed something strange inside. The floor made a different sound in one particular corner, hollow, unlike the rest of the cabin. His curiosity piqued. He moved an old rug covering the spot and uncovered a hidden hatch. His heart pounded with excitement. What could possibly be down there? He had spent so much time in this cabin before, yet he never knew about this secret compartment. He hesitated for a moment before deciding to open it. The next day, Andrew's demeanor had completely changed. His family, who continued mocking him, couldn't understand why he suddenly seemed so happy. His brother and sister tried to provoke him, expecting him to be miserable, but nothing they said got a reaction. Instead, Andrew smiled, his confidence unshaken. Their curiosity grew, and soon, even their parents, who had previously stayed out of the mockery, started wondering what had caused such a shift in his mood. They pestered him for answers, but he refused to reveal anything. The more he avoided their questions, the more desperate they became. Eventually, his siblings' tone shifted from mockery to curiosity, and finally, to near begging. Andrew, amused by their desperation, finally agreed to show them what he had discovered, but only if they swore to keep it a secret. Eager to uncover the mystery, his family agreed without hesitation. Without wasting any time, Andrew invited them to the cabin, setting off on the 1-hour drive. As they arrived, his sister immediately stepped in something unpleasant, which made Andrew chuckle. His siblings scoffed at the rundown cabin, unimpressed and still convinced it was worthless. But Andrew knew they were about to change their minds. Leading them inside, Andrew let them wander for a moment, watching their confusion grow. They saw nothing but an old table, fishing gear, and a musty rug. His brother and sister started to lose patience, demanding to know what was so special. Without a word, Andrew stepped to the corner of the room where the rug had been. He pressed his foot down hard, revealing the hollow sound. His family's expressions shifted as he pulled the rug aside, unveiling the secret hatch. Now they were truly intrigued. His sister, who had been skeptical the entire time, leaned in closer. A ladder led into darkness below. For the first time, his family fell silent. Andrew grinned, savoring the moment. "Well," he said, looking at them, "are you ready to see what grandfather really left behind?" As they peered down the hatch, their faces filled with anticipation and a hint of nervousness. None of them had expected this. What lay beneath the old cabin was something far greater than anyone could have imagined, and Andrew was about to get the last laugh after all. The underground chamber was massive, far larger than the tiny cabin above. Their eyes widened in unison as they took in the sight before them. The walls were lined with ancient wooden shelves, filled with treasures from across the world. Golden artifacts, weathered maps, delicate scrolls, and rare gemstones sparkled under the dim lights. In the center of the room, resting on a velvet stand, was something that made Andrew's breath hitch. A journal filled with handwritten notes from his grandfather. "No way," his sister whispered, completely stunned. Andrew smirked, watching their amazement turn to greed. It didn't take long before the inevitable question came. "Do you have any idea how much this stuff is worth?" his brother said, eyes gleaming with dollar signs. His mother and father exchanged eager glances, and his sister stepped closer, her fingers hovering over an ornate crown. But Andrew already knew what they were thinking. He shook his head firmly. "I'm not selling a single thing." Their shocked expressions were priceless. While they saw stacks of money, Andrew saw something far more valuable: his grandfather's legacy. Over the next 6 months, he transformed the site into a private museum, ensuring that only true historians and passionate enthusiasts could visit. The cabin remained untouched, just as his grandfather had loved it: old, worn, and filled with memories. And as Andrew sat in front of it on his folding chair, listening to the gentle rustling of the trees, he smiled. His grandfather's greatest treasure was safe, exactly as it was meant to be.